I'm Tyler, and in this video I'm going to share with you why I think Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri may not be much of a comedy, but it's still an investing and worthwhile drama. So let's talk about why Three Billboards is no perfect movie. So the Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri were put up by a woman named Mildred, played by Frances McDormand, so she could bring awareness to the fact that her daughter was murdered 7 months before and there have been no leads whatsoever. And the movie's all about not just the repercussions that she faces from the community, but also from the perspective of the police chief, played by Harrelson, and a bigoted officer, played by Sam Rockwell. All three of the main leads give some of their best performances in their careers, and they make the movie's best moments. Frances McDormand, most of all, feels genuine every time she's on screen, and she has to do and say a lot of questionable things that most people don't normally do, whether or not they're in grieving, and she has an unlikable presence amongst the rest of the community throughout the entire movie. But what keeps us rooting for her is the fact that even though she can't change her daughter's fate or how their relationship was when she was alive, she's at least putting in effort to make sure somebody faces justice for taking her daughter away from her. And whenever she's funny, it's because her expressions and her line delivery is just so blunt. She just does not care what other people think of her. Harrelson's character, even though he's completely tense with McDormand over her questioning his abilities as a chief, has the exact same moral dilemma where there are things in his life that he knows aren't going to end well. But the difference is between him and her is that he knows, whether he likes it or not, that there are times when you can't control what's going to happen next in your life, and that sometimes pulling through just won't solve anything. And Sam Rockwell's character is a great example of how someone can learn this lesson the hard way. Because since he is such a hateful human being, as well as being a police officer, his method of solving problems is by doing the exact same thing each time. Pressuring people, taking the law into his own hands, but when he actually suffers the consequences, it's tragic once he learns certain things about his past and why Harrelson still keeps him on the force. And despite everything that he does in the movie, in the end, you actually want to see him redeem himself. This movie's directed by McDonagh, who also made In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths, and I like his visual style as a director. The opening scene alone, without any dialogue, shows us how Mildred found the billboards, why they remind her of her daughter, and what made her decide to rent them up in the first place. And McDonagh's also good at building up tension between different characters in certain scenes. Usually when actors make long pauses between each other during a scene, it feels very awkward and forced, but McDonagh picks the right scenes where it feels natural to do so. Most of them are confrontations between two characters where the long pauses are so that they can process the information that they're hearing, and then they can come up with a valid response. Now, in terms of a dark drama, this movie is unpredictable and touching. But if I'm being completely honest, even though there are plenty of funny moments, I don't think McDonagh is a funny writer, and there are some scenes where I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be funny or sad, because in all honesty, they didn't work as either. People are going to be taken aback by this movie for sure, because the profanity does contain words that people don't normally say in everyday life. But I wasn't as shocked by that aspect as I thought I was going to be, because I hear these words on cable TV all the time. It doesn't really faze me anymore. And maybe this is just me, but I didn't feel like there were that many attempts at dark humor at all. For example, there's one scene where a guy puts a knife to another guy's throat, and then someone walks in to use the bathroom, and then they just go back to normal. Wouldn't it have been funnier if, when that person walked in, he was still holding the throat to him, and he was just like, oh, yeah, everything's cool. Or if they stood still and they were just like, what the fuck are you doing? Get out! Seriously, am I the only person who thinks that that would have been a little bit more funnier and edgier? I feel like they played safe because they didn't want to offend people with those aspects, because these are really dark subject matters like murder and abuse and suicide even. But here's the thing. Some people think dark humor exists just to make people cringe. In my opinion, that's not how it works. In my opinion, dark comedy is there to relieve tension, to make you feel better after seeing something that is so dark and serious. Dark humor works not just because of the grim scenario, but also the reactions that the characters make. And both these elements do sometimes make for some hilarious moments, but sometimes either element is out of balance during a scene, and it makes what was supposed to be funny fall flat. The dark humor is not in it as often as advertised, but Three Billboards still has an engaging story with dramatic depth, fantastic performances, and still some hilarious laughs. And for that reason, I'm going to give Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri a 3.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching, and what did you think of Three Billboards? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.